Hello, Legacy students, Marsh here. So today we're going to talk about the quadratic formula in our Solving Quadratics unit. You're going to watch your notes and then the foldable for this particular information. Your learning goal today: I can solve a quadratic equation by using the quadratic formula. Now, ultimately, the quadratic formula is the last tool in our toolbox to be able to solve a quadratic equation. Long time ago, people only knew how to solve using factoring, square roots, or completing the square, which is what we're currently at, right? And they realized that this completing the square process is so repetitive. It's the same stuff over and over and over. There's got to be a way to make a formula out of this. And thus, the quadratic formula was born. The quadratic formulas is x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Used to solve quadratic equations when they're written in their standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c is when it's equal to 0. This formula does in fact come from the completing the square, but we just don't have all the steps being shown. Now, out of the quadratic formula, we have what's known as the discriminant. It is also known as the radicand. So that is this guy on the inside. And he is special in some manners because he tells us how many solutions we are going to get out of our answer. When you get a negative discriminant, that means you're going to have no real solutions. Now, you're probably thinking that means I don't have to solve, right, Marsh? No, that means you're looking for imaginaries. You're looking for some eyes to start showing up, okay? 0 for a discriminant means you're going to have one real solution. And if the value is greater than 0, that means you have 2 real solutions. When I say real, that means no eyes, no imaginary numbers. Okay? So the discriminant tells us what we're going to get for how many solutions are we going to have. Let's try our first example. So my equation is 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now notice it is equal to 0. We are going to check that each and every time. Our a value is what's in front of the x squared. So in our case, our a value is 2. My b value, is 4. And my c value is 1. Now, let's find the discriminant. Missed another n there. So we're going to plug in 2b squared minus 4ac. We're going to figure out what this value is. Well, b squared, so 4 squared minus 4. Literally, I'm taking what a and c and b are, times 2 times my c. So 4 squared, 16. 4 times 2 is 8. Times 1 is 8. So 16 minus 8 is 8, right? So I will get 2 real solutions out of this problem. Now, let's finish our formula. So x is equal to the opposite of b. So that means basically change the sign of your b, so negative 4, plus or minus the square root of the discriminant, so what we got, which was 8, divide that by 2 times my a value, which in this case is 2. Let's do some simplifying here. 8 all over 4. I'm going to simplify the square root of 8. I know that that is the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. Square root of 4 turns into a 2. So this is technically negative 4 plus or minus 2 square roots of 2 all over 4. And then I do need to simplify this. So I'm going to get negative, I could take a 2 out of everything, right? Technically, I could break this into 2 pieces as well. So I'm just going to take out 2 for everybody. It's going to be negative 2 plus or minus 1 square root of 2 all over 2. Or you could have written negative 1 plus or minus square root of 2 over 2. That would be both acceptable answers in this case. Then notice there is two real solutions because you have a plus and a minus version. Let's try another example. First thing I notice though, this guy's not in standard form. So I'm going to move everybody over. So I'm going to get x squared plus 2x plus 7. I again try to keep that a to be positive. So my a's value is 1, my b value is 2, and my c value is 7. Let's find our discriminant. So b squared minus 4 times my a times my c. So b squared is 4, right? Because it's 2 squared. Minus 4 times my a times my c. So 4 minus, 4 times 1 times 7, that'd be 28. So I'm going to get negative 24. That is a negative discriminant, which means we're going to have imaginary solutions, and it's going to be 2 of them, okay? There is going to be an I that's going to show up. Now let's finish the rest of our quadratic formula. So negative b, so negative 2, plus or minus the square root of our discriminant, which is negative 24, all over 2 times my a, which is 1. Oh, I got to break down the square root of negative 24. Well, there's technically 3 things. There's going to be one I, right? That's going to take care of your negative. 4 times 6 will give me 24. Square root of 4 is 2. So I got negative 2 plus or minus 2i square root of 6 all over 2. Now, this 6, again, guys, it's under the radical, under the square root sign, so I can't simplify him any further, but I can take care of all these 2's. So I'm going to factor out or divide away a 2 under both of them. So that's going to be negative 1 plus or minus 1i square root of 6 all over, well, technically a 1, so I technically don't even need all over, don't I? That would be my answer right here. Notice it's 2 imaginary solutions, so a plus version and a subtract version. Now, let's take away our really cutesy patootsy little graphic organizer. First thing, get it in order. So I'm going to move that 9 over to the left. I'm going to then notify what's my A, what's my B, what's my C. This helps me so I don't have to think very hard. My A is 1. There's nothing in front of the x squared. Technically, there's a 1 there. My B is negative 6. My C is 9. Again, let us just find our discriminant because it makes our life a little bit easier. Oh, discriminant. Can't spell to save my soul tonight. All right, so that is b squared minus 4 times my a times my c. So b squared, negative 6 squared is a positive 36 minus 4 times my a times my c. So 36. Negative 4 times 1 times 9 is negative 36. I get 0 for my discriminant. That means I'm going to have one real solution. Okay? So now let's plug in the rest of our quadratic formula. So opposite of b, which would be a positive 6, plus or minus the square root of my discriminant, which is b squared, minus 4ac, which we found it to be 0, all over 2 times my a. Now, let's simplify. Square root of 0, that's 0, right? So technically, this is 6 plus or minus 0 over 2. Well, 6 plus 0 and 6 minus 0, that doesn't really affect us. So 6 over 2, my answer, 3. Now, look at the problem, guys. Look at that. Look at that. It was a factorable problem. It factors like this. Oh! Which would give us an answer of 3, right? So double check. Sometimes it's factorable for your quadratic formula. That can happen, especially if the answer is a nice answer. Quadratic formula is best used when it's going to be an icky answer that we can't factor. Let's try exercise 4. So I'm going to move everybody again to one side, and I like to leave my x squared to be positive. So then I'm going to note my a is 1, my b is 6, and my c is 5. So let's find our discriminant, shall we? So that is my b squared, which is 36, minus 4 times my a times my c. So 36 negative 4 times 1 times 5 is a negative 20. So I'm going to get 16, right? Since that is a positive, that means we have two real solutions. So I'm going to finish my quadratic formula now. So opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is 16, all over 2 times my a. Okay. Well, square root of 16 is just a 4. Interesting. We haven't had one that had that happen yet. I'm going to break this into two separate problems. So I got negative 6 plus 4 divided by 2, and I have negative 6 minus 4 divided by 2. That way I can actually see what's going on. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Divide that by 2 is a negative 1. Negative 6 minus 4 is a negative 10. Divide that by 2 is a negative 5. So these are my two answers. So x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 5. Now again, look at the problem. It was factorable. That's why we got nice answers. Let's try the fifth problem. I'm going to move the 9x over. So I'm going to get 3x squared positive 9x positive 1. So my a is 3, my b is 9, my c is 1. You should pause the video and see if you get the same answers as I do. That way you can make sure to see how you do. Welcome back. Let's find our discriminant. If you didn't pause, you definitely should pause. So I got 81 minus 4 times my a times my c. So 81 minus 12. 81 minus 12, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I gotta go grab my calculator out here. That is 69. That is a perfect, that is two real solutions, right? Because it is a positive number. So now I'm going to finish my quadratic formula. So opposite of b plus or minus the square root of 69, because that's b squared minus 4ac, all over 2 times my a. Ooh, does 69 have a perfect square in it? I don't think it does. Four doesn't go in. 9 doesn't go in. It seems that it does not. So it looks like we just get to leave it as the square root of 69. 2 times 3 is 6. So now I cannot break down this 69, okay? It's got to stay there. But I can simplify this negative 9 over this 6. But I can't simplify that. I'm going to break this into two fractions. So negative 9 over 6 plus or minus the square root of 69 over 6. Well, this technically breaks down into negative 3 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 69 over 6. This is an accepted answer, and so would this be an accepted answer for both of your x answers. And that is the end of this video. We will continue to practice the quadratic formula. I know it's a little bit, and yes, guys, that quadratic formula, you do want to have it memorized because it's going to be showing up every once in a while, and that's one of those kinds of formulas that you just kind of have to have slowly and surely memorized. And I'll show you guys a couple of YouTube videos to help you with that. But until then, I will see you later, Savers.